Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? Yes. You're knowing what you are wanting. An ever-evolving thing. You are enjoying the evolution of your desire? Yes. You are. That means that as your desire expands beyond your now manifestation, you're still good with that. You have a new, powerful, focused, and yet still unfulfilled desire. And you are good with that? This is good. This is good. We don't believe you, but it would be good. Because when contrast gives you that new awareness of that new desire, and that new desire calls you and feeds you and fulfills you, as it gives you reason to speculate and anticipate, as it gives you that feeling of exhilaration and that knowledge of eternal expansion, then you are utilizing contrast and the subsequent new birthing of desire in just the way you intended as you came forth into this physical environment. But if you stand in your now, wanting something not yet achieved, and the desire for it sort of tortures you, it makes you feel inadequate or incomplete, so that you are yearning for it. Now you are not in the vibrational place of allowing it to be fulfilled, and you are not utilizing your time-space reality in the way you had intended. So what we are getting at here is you're reaching for the feeling or mood or attitude that feels like satisfaction where I stand as I'm eagerly anticipating expansion. So if you stand in your now, knowing that it is not now all that it will ever be, it can never be that. None of us, physical or non-physical, will ever stand in a place of completion. Do you realize how wonderful that is? And yet, when you translate it back into physical terms and you say, I really need this thing to be fulfilled before I will then be happy, we say, you are bucking the current of the universe. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would try to modify our attitude about that just a little bit. You are leading edge creators. You stand here in these physical bodies as extensions, furthest leading edge extensions of source energy. And as you are standing in a place of allowing the fullness of who you are to flow through you, you thrive. And in your moment, you feel exhilaration. You feel eagerness. You feel love, appreciation, joy, expansion. But as you stand in your physical body as this leading edge extension of consciousness, and you feel something that doesn't feel so good to you, like fear or doubt or guilt or blame or anger or loneliness or any of those emotions that you would describe as negative emotions, those feelings are your indicator that something's happening in your utilization of consciousness that is keeping you from allowing the fullness of who you really are to flow through you. In other words, you are resisting rather than allowing the fullness of who you really are. We are calling this gathering the art of allowing, because when you discover, and it doesn't take much more than you are already doing, just an understanding of where to apply your emphasis. When you get into the place where you are understanding what allowing truly is, then you begin to thrive in all ways. Allowing of what? Allowing of who you really are. Allowing of clarity. Allowing of source. allowing of vitality and abundance and wellness, allowing of the well-being that is so natural to you, allowing of the well-being that would be yours if you were not resisting it. Now, we know that there is not one of you who would resist it intentionally, but there are a whole lot of our physical friends who are resisting while not knowing how they're doing it, and so that's why we are calling this gathering the Art of Allowing, because once you get an idea of how to feel for your state of allowing, or how to be aware through feeling of your state of resistance, with a little bit of conscious tweaking, you can bring yourself into the full, exhilarated position that is natural to you. We see you in your physical experience, and we are so appreciative of your willingness to chew on the nitty-gritty out here on the leading edge of thought. Because as you allow your exposure to contrast, new desire is born within you constantly. And that new desire is pleasing not only to you, but to all that is as well. Because when you, out here on the leading edge, conclude a new desire, you literally summon all that we all are forward. And that is how this universe expands. So the contrast that sometimes you would like to do without, or at least modify in some ways, is the very thing that helps you to conclude the new desire. And when the new desire is concluded, the summoning power or the pulling power is enormous. Now, this is an important premise that we are wanting to state here, even though many of you have heard it many, many times. When you ask, it is always given. And it is very essential that you visit that idea for just a moment here in the beginning of this gathering. Because when you reach for the knowing that when you ask, whether you are a cell in one of your magnificent bodies or whether you are the fully conscious personality that you know as you, when you ask for something, whether you use words or whether your experience just helps you to conclude the desire, when you have desire, it is always answered, every single time. So there are 3 points to this fulfilling legacy that is yours. The first point is ask, the second point is answer, and those 2 points are taken care of without your conscious realization. You ask, the universe answers, but the big question, and the question that this workshop addresses fully, is, are you letting it in? So what we're really talking about is the asking mode, the answering mode, and the receiving mode. And if you are not in the receiving mode, and we're talking about the vibrational frequency of your being, if you are not in the receiving mode, then it does not matter how much you're asking, and it does not matter how much the universe is yielding and answering. If you're not in the receiving mode, it can't get into you. The universe at large benefits by your asking. But this workshop is about you letting it into your experience. As some of you have heard, Jerry and Esther are moving about the country in a monster bus. And on top of this motor coach is a satellite dish. So they'll come into a campground, and Esther will say to Jerry, "Where's Houston?" Because she knows that the transmitting or answering satellite is somewhere over Houston. So if she knows where Houston is, she can look to see if there's a tree in the way or a building in the way. She can see if they have line of sight to the satellite. And once they have acknowledged that there is a clear vision between where their dish is and where the satellite is in the sky, Esther pushes some buttons. There are some buttons that she can push for elevation. And the satellite then turns around and around until it locks onto the satellite. If Esther pushes the wrong button and does not set the elevation properly, this poor little satellite will just look and look and look and look and look and look and look it would look all night long. Sometimes we think that's what's happened to your dish. Because we see you applying extraordinary effort and stamina. You go after it tenaciously without locking on to your signal. And it is only because you are not quite in the receiving mode. And that's what we're wanting to talk about. It is not about effort. It's not about anything other than you vibrationally setting yourself to be a vibrational match to the signal that you're wanting to receive. Now, the interesting thing about this is that as the contrast helps you to conclude your new rocket of desire, you are the one. It is through the power of your rocket of desire that you set the signal. So what we're really talking about here is you now, after the fact, after the launching of your signal, you coming into vibrational harmony with your own signal of desire. And when you do, the universe then yields it to you. You see, you ask, and the universe yields. And when you are in vibrational harmony with what you are asking for, it flows easily into your experience. And the good news is, as it flows into your experience and you receive that which you would call the manifestation of it, now you have a new set of contrasting experiences that will give birth to yet another rocket of desire, which then you will achieve vibrational harmony with and receive manifestation of, which will then give you another set of contrasting experiences which will help you give birth to another rocket of desire. We say this to you because we are wanting you to begin to relax in the joyous understanding that there will always be another unfulfilled rocket of desire bursting forth from you. It is the nature of this contrasting universe of which we are all a part. Sometimes we see you trying not to let yourself want, because you have had the experience of having a desire that was unfulfilled, that was so torturous that you said, never again am I going to get myself in that position where I will again want something that I cannot have. And we say, first of all, it is not possible for you to ever be in a position where you want something that you cannot have. Because if you have the ability to desire it, the universe has the ability to yield it to you. The only question is, have you been in vibrational harmony with your own desire? Well, now you know everything important. There is nothing beyond that which you will ever need to know relative to the science of deliberate creation. It is just now a process of practicing through trial and error, holding yourself in vibrational harmony with your own desire. So how would one go about that? Well, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would move through the contrast of our day, knowing that clarifying decisions are being made within you constantly, and understanding that you're launching rockets all over the place all the time. And then we would consciously acknowledge that every time we ask, it is given. And so we would then move through our day in an expectant, anticipative mode, watching for evidence of the universe's yielding. That's that eager anticipation. So you might ask yourself, how would I know if I am in the receiving mode? How do I know if my satellite's just spinning up there hopelessly? Or how do I know if I'm really in the receiving mode? And we say, the better you feel, the more in the receiving mode you are. You see, there is resistance and there is allowing. There is resistance and there is allowing. There is not feeling good and there is feeling good. There is not feeling good and there is feeling good. So by paying attention to the way you feel, you can literally feel, moment by moment, what your state of allowing is. And that is the only thing that you ever need to give attention to. The only thing that is significant in your living the perfect life that you have come forth to live is learning to hold yourself in vibrational harmony